Hi everybody, thank you for joining me today. So we're going to be working on our sketch for this Friday, which is from Operation Right Home, which I'll have links to their blog down below. I know they're not collecting cards and sending them anymore, but their sketches are still online and available for us to use, and I found this one on Pinterest. So for my focal piece, I'm going to be using my Koi stamp set, which is from Hero Arts. We're just going to ink it up into 3 different shades. Now, the second stamp that I'm doing, I used what I thought was a darker color, and I realized that it was almost exactly the same. So, you're going to see here, I'm going to lay it down. This is the more detailed stamp. I'm going to lay it down and you get everything lined up, and then when I go for my second color and I stamp, I realize it's too similar in what the first color is. So I decided that I would skip and use the darker brown to really have that detail stand out. You see what I mean? There's no distinctiveness on this part. So I went and got, it's like a chocolate brown, and when I stamp this one, you'll see that detail now pop? Same stamp, just a slightly different color, and you get an even bigger wow. Okay, so on this next one, this is the detailing that when I use the embossing powders, I like to do the embossing with this one because it's like only a few different pieces, you know, where they get that second color in some of the koi fish. So I decided to do this one in the pure black, and I am going to stamp it twice. That's the beauty of the Misty. It allows you to be able to stamp it twice, make sure you get a nice crisp color. Alright, and then after that one, there's one final stamp, and that stamp does the eyes and I think another part of the mouth. So I just line up where I want the eyes to go, and then we're going to ink it up and stamp it twice as well. There's once, and then one more time. Alright. Now, as part of the sketch, there was a small piece. I want to say it was 2 3/4 by 3/4. And on that piece, we're going to stamp our sentiment. So I'm just going to grab that real quick and put it down here on the bottom. And I decided to make this a happy birthday card. I'm actually getting low on birthday cards, so you'll probably be seeing me using happy birthday a whole lot, just so I can rebuild up my stash. So we're going to go ahead and line that up, ink it up using the same VersaFine Black Onyx ink, and then stamp that down. And normally I would do this one twice, but it actually stamps pretty well the first time. So, nice and clear. So we're going to go ahead and put that to the side. And we're going to go ahead and start getting our pieces together for this particular card. My base piece is 5 and a half by 8.5, and then we just score it in half, so that way it turns out to be a 4 1/4 by 5.5 card. And then we're going to attach our first, I guess you would say, focal piece. I decided to use this one as our base, where everything would, you know, stamp to, or not stamp to, tape down, and then just build up the layers. And then I like to use the grid mat to line up, but if you don't have a grid mat, I think it's just, sometimes it's easier to eyeball it, but if you're afraid to, you can always use a ruler, make little marks, so that way you can line it up. but I try not to stress it, you know? It's handmade. It's supposed to feel like, you know, you worked on it. If they want Hallmark, they'll go to Hallmark. I like the impurities sometimes that we get when we're just doing our crafting. That's why I firmly believe there's no mistakes. It's always happy accidents. Okay, so when I was looking at the sentiment and the focal piece with the koi, I decided that I wanted it to stand out more. It was too much white on white. So I decided to take a second. I'm going to stop the camera, and then I'm going to come back with the vintage photo, the Distress Oxide. And I'm going to also have a link to my little quick video I did this week showing how I did the foam on the back of my Oxides. So if you haven't seen that, the link will be for that at the end. And all I'm doing is going around the edges, and already it's starting to stand out on top of that card so that it's not blending into the background and you're losing that sentiment. So I peeled off very carefully the koi piece, and I decided to go around all the 4 edges of that. Not doing a whole lot, not as much as I do on the sentiment, but enough to, you know, create contrast. And sometimes that's all you need. You know, if you ever look at your card and you're thinking, you know, it's looking flat, it doesn't seem like it's got any dimension, sometimes all you have to do is take your little distress tool and ink around those edges, and next thing you know, you're like, wow, just that one little step can make such a big difference. So for this sentiment, to give it more reason to stand out, I decided to put foam tape on the back. So don't mind me, I know I'm off camera at this point, but I'm just trying to get the foam to lay down correct on the back. And once I get the backing off, I'm gonna attach it, you know, per the sketch that we have. And I decided that I wanted to add just a few. I didn't want to go too crazy. At first, I was just gonna do 3 sequins. But then I decided to add 2 more, still keeping it odd, but just to keep it filled around the sentiment. So all of them are peeking out from the sentiment, the little sequins that we're putting down. Alright, and once I have them in the spot where I want them, I'm going to go ahead and grab my multimedia mat, and we're going to go ahead and get those laid down. And these are pretty easy because I'm using a lot of the bigger ones for this. If it was the super tiny ones, I would definitely suggest getting the tweezers, because the tweezers do help when picking up sequins and stuff like that. So that would be my suggestion. And you'll see right here, because the smallest one, I kind of hit it underneath, so I just tilt it so that way it falls off. So I can get to it easier. Alright, and then there's the card. Just that little bit helps finish it off. We could have done some splatter, we could have added twine. There's really no limit in what you can do with these things. So I just hope that you guys, when you try these, change something up, make something different. If you don't like laying down just the pattern paper, use a piece of ribbon. There's no rhyme or reason. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share button. And leave comments down below, or, you know, make sure you go to the Facebook page for Craft with T, and you guys share your sketches that you do. If you use the same sketch, share your photos there. I would love to see it and share it with the community, okay? And once again, check out those videos at the very end. Have a great day, you guys.